Let's test if they can hear me chewing. Yeah, you hear the crinkling?
What is this, ASMR? My saliva is going out. Welcome
to
the Energy and Heart Podcast,
featuring Jiggy and and
Steph.
That was smooth. I was watching the last couple.
Are you out of breath right now?
I have haichu in my mouth, bro. Like that's what.
Oh, it's so good.
It was stuck to the top of my mouth.
You were like,
you know. Maybe I should finish chewing this before we start.
No, let's do it. That's the challenge of the week. Okay. This is the late night after hours version. Because we attempted recording yesterday at our usual time, but outside our building there's a construction and they go hard all day.
Literally 7:30 to 5.
Yeah.
Like I just checked it today at 7:30.
They were going at it all day today.
Yeah. And then also downstairs,
oh yeah.
somebody's drilling into like the ceiling or something, and
but also into my bathroom.
Yeah.
So like here's Steph. Here's the neighbor. Here's me.
Yeah. So we're literally
whoever
like,
this is.
But
I'm feeling this vibe today.
Yeah. I'm into it. I think it's cute. This might be the new thing, honestly. Kind of down for a nighttime like hang. Nighttime hang.
All right.
Tell us what's new though. Tell us what's new. Tell us what's new.
So much to say. You gotta
brief everybody on the experience. Like so much has happened. Literally, you can't even hear her voice. That's how incredible it was. Apparently, so tell the people.
How did my life get to a point?
Tell the people
where I was seeing Kehlani twice in the past 4 days. Oh my god, I'm so blessed. This is like, honestly, I deserve this so much after the fucking year that I had. Wow.
Yes.
Truly, I am so happy. And I'm as happy as the first time I tried Molly. Truly. I don't do it anymore. That's why I'm able to talk about it. And I'm human too, so I am able to talk about it.
Yes.
But wow, I am just like on a high. We went to Vegas. We saw Kehlani there. We have Floor for that show. Incredible. She was literally right there. Wow.
Yeah, she was very
wow.
She's very hot. She's so talented.
When she came out, I was like, literally, that is what an angel looks like. Like, literally so perfect. There are no imperfections. Wow. Just looking at her was just like, how are you real? Oh my god. Her singing? Wow.
Her singing is very good.
Live? Are you kidding? Yeah. And then she started dancing. And I was like, look at wifey go. I was like proud of her. She's so dope. Wow. Wow. I cried a lot for Altar. Before she sang Altar, she set the intention like this isn't supposed to be a sad song. This is supposed to be a celebration. And we're going to dedicate it to like whoever is in your life who's like floating, like flying in your life now. I really like the way that she said that. And then these people in the front of the audience like brought plastic candles and they lit them up. I lost my shit. I lost it. I didn't even watch the entire performance because I was crying the entire time. Megan, shout outs to Megan from like every single episode at this point. She just held me the whole time. It was so nice. But then, Kehlani knows of my existence now because she reposted my post. Yay!
I feel like this deserved a different one. I feel like there's a different like sound effect for this. It'd be like fireworks or something. Something epic.
Wow. Everything.
All of it together.
I can see.
Like one after the other.
Okay, so like her seeing my post and reading my caption is cool, but what I truly have been appreciative of is that like all these people started to slide in my DMs or in my comments and started to share their own stories or of like grieving or just how their experience of Kehlani's show was for them. And I think what's really cool is that even though we all go to the show at different times and different locations, we basically all have the same experience. And that, like, man, that was just healing as fuck. And it was like exactly what we needed. And who Kehlani is to us in our lives, it's like, not to, I sound such like a freaking like BTS army, whatever, but like truly like Kehlani has changed our lives and like saved our lives even. And then when people like share their own stories or like they're so like compassionate and empathetic with me and they're like so nice, and it's just nice to have strangers say nice things to me. Because I feel like when strangers usually talk to me, they're usually like cursing at me and yelling at me in the streets or something. And it's just been really nice to get to know these strangers and have conversations and obsess over Kehlani with them. That's been truly special. I think that's what really makes like Kehlani's community so special. They were just like really compassionate and empathetic people. And then I went to the LA show yesterday. Whoa. That one was not on floor. That was in the middle, right in front of the stage or whatever. And Jessie Reyes was there. Blue was there. Ty Dolla $ign was there. And then frickin'... Here's how it happened. Kehlani was like bringing all these guests out. And she was like, okay, this next person, you know what? I'm not even going to introduce her. She's like, I'm just going to let the song play. And then you hear... And I turned to my friend and I start fucking jumping. I'm like, no fucking way. And JoJo comes out. Oh my god. And I was like, it's fucking JoJo. Oh my god. Oh, I'm like reliving it right now. That was, oh my god, I screamed so hard. I jumped so high. I was so fucking hyped. And of all the years that I belted out Leave, that was the loudest I've ever sang that song.
It's too late. I can't wait for you to be gone, 'cause I know about what.
She's also incredible live.
So your first time ever seeing her?
Yeah. All in all, I'm just very happy right now. After the year that I've had, after the life that I've had, this made up for everything. This made up for the entire life that I've had. It's been great. I'm willing to go again. Like, I will never get enough of her shows. How long have I been talking about Kehlani for? Anyways, how was Vegas for you? And how was Chicago?
Well, first, I just want to say how happy it makes me to see you so happy.
Rare.
I literally can't.
Hashtag rare.
I literally can't, because like I feel like I only got deeper into Kehlani's music because of you. Like I feel like you're the primary influence. I like her music, but obviously like I'm not a super fan like you are. But I think what brought me so much joy was like actually just seeing how happy it made. I legit can't. Like I feel like there's a certain like. Y'all have to experience this, right? Like where like your friend's just so happy, like you just can't help but like be fucking excited, and then you realize like I don't even know half her songs, but I'm like really fucking hyped for like the fact that Jiggy was her song. So okay, like I feel like that was my experience of Vegas, because like yeah, like I'm a low key like believer and like Swiftie, and like so I like different music.
I'm a believer too.
Yeah, and so yes, we definitely have that in common, along with all the old R&B music that we apparently listen to. But yeah, my experience of it was it was just fun. Like I actually really loved that we ended up flying out there. Like I know that wasn't originally what we wanted, but I actually thought it was nice to get out of like LA actually. It was really cool to just like see people from, you know, like Jeanette and Kato flew from like NorCal. Like nice to see Terrence and Alex and I think I talked about this before, but I just love the way that you bring together like all your friends. So that was really cool. You made new friends too. You didn't even talk about that. Like made a new friend, like new friend in line. Very Jiggy like. And I think my favorite part, like, so you were crying at altar, and then I was crying because you were crying at altar. So like I was very moved by the music, but I was just like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on right now. Like I just feel like Jiggy just thinking about her whole life right now, flashing before her eyes, and like being really emotional. And I'm just like getting like secondhand emotional because like I'm literally getting secondhand emotions because I was witnessing her experience it, and I was just like, I think this is just like so beautiful, like to be like a part of that. And so I cried during that because I saw you crying. So
why am I crying?
Oh.
What the fuck is going on?
It's okay.
I'm not on my period.
I am on my period though, so maybe that's why I'm emotional.
What the fuck is going on? My voice is like
all hoarse and shit too.
What the fuck? What is happening? Oh my god, you know what? At the show, I think I just like released everything. Like it was just like a gigantic therapy session that I didn't know I needed. Like, oh my god, I cried like hard. Yeah. But I was like just happy. The first time was the happy tears. Yeah. The altar was like just a releasing of like the year I had. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. I think I felt that. That's why I was like the secondhand feelings and emotions that I was experiencing, because I was like, there are just things that you can't talk through. There are things that like can only be felt in like different ways. And so I felt like that moment, like when I saw you, I was just like, oh fuck, like I am feeling like everything that she's experienced this year, like literally like sit in this moment. And I was like, I think as a friend, it's like feeling the release also that you were like releasing, and I was just, it was a very spiritual moment. Like this is why people ask me about Kehlani. I was just like, I can't really explain to you what it was because it was not a concert to me, okay? So it was very spiritual, and I was like, I was crying, like you were crying, like everyone was there. Like I was just like, okay, like this is what like needed to happen. It was so funny because the last episode was talking about needs to our therapist. Oh, yeah. And like today it's like sometimes you don't need your therapist, you just need to go to a concert with your favorite artist. Sometimes, yes. And maybe that's the answer, you know?
Yeah. Not always.
Yeah.
But sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was my experience of Vegas. I guess I never briefed with you, like, well, we talked a little bit, but not too much about it, but that was my experience.
I'm still processing. One of the most Kehlani show things happened. Like, I made friends with this girl who was online, and she came to the show alone. During the show, a song, DJ Nudes was like having her set, and she was playing all this twerk music. And so the friend that we made, she was like, oh, she played my shit, I'm about to go in. And I'm like, do I have your consent to dance with you? And she's like, absolutely, you have my consent to dance with me. Wait, do I have your consent to dance with you? And I was like, absolutely. And then as soon as the beat dropped, it was Juvenile back that ass up, and I was like, it's like, it's the most Kehlani show. It's the most Kehlani show thing to like get consent and twerk. It doesn't get any more Kehlani than that, I think.
I love that so much.
Oh my god.
I left to Chicago the day after. And yeah, Mercury retrograde is in full effect, is all I have to say
Bitch
about.
came early. She came early and ready.
Yeah. When we say Mercury retrograde was in full effect, I went to Chicago for my little's YCO. Because he's in medical school now, and he told me to be there at 2:30. I finished at 12:45. I was like, okay, great. And he left the grounds, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm not here for the YCO. And so I ended up having to meet him later at night, and then later at night we were going to a friend's birthday, and then we went to the wrong location because there's apparently 2 locations in the same barcade. So
Brian.
Yes.
Happy birthday! It's today, right now.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Brian.
Yes. Happy birthday, Brian.
Because I know you're watching.
So, yeah, we ended up celebrating birthday. It was so sweet, just like meeting. Brian's like one of the RBTL like facilitators. He used to be a student.
New character.
I feel like we gotta start like showing people's like faces or something.
With their consent.
But yes, with their consent. But yeah, it was really special seeing him in person, meeting his partner who we've heard like so much about, and she's the sweetest. And so yeah, I got to hang out with Kato's best friend. Like Chicago, I think, is a place I would come back to actually. Like it was actually really nice during the summer. Found out that I have a lot of friends there, and I was like, I think that'd be a nice trip to go to. So I like that Kato's best friend's there, like my really, really good friend is there, and so like he has people to hang out with, I have people to hang out with. It's all good.
Want to go back next week?
Oh yeah, you're going to Chicago next week for Eric Thomas's conference. How are you feeling about that? Are you ready? Are you ready to manifest? Because like last time you went to the conference, I can't. You had too many
Last
things.
time I went to an Eric Thomas conference, it was back in May, and it was in Cancun.
Yes.
And there I made 2 business decisions. It was like one decision, realizing that we need to like switch up the decision and make it even greater. And then since then, it sort of, whatever decision that it was that I made has worked and manifested. This time I think that granted it's only been 4 months, but I think that so much can also happen in 4 months, and I definitely need the fire one more time. I need that last push to end the year strong. We are reaching Q4 of the year. This year just took so many freaking turns, and the year just went by. It literally feels like yesterday when I got the call from my brother saying that Dad died in February, and it's already September, and it's about to be October. It's about to be my birthday. But I think it's not that I'm dependent of this conference to change my life or motivate me or anything like that, but it's just that I think that something will come out of it, whatever it is, and I'm just really ready to hear God. And the reason why I say that is like Eric Thomas, he is a preacher, so at the end of the day, like it does become a very spiritual, motivational moment. And also a lot of the BU members are going to be there. I get to see my Game Changers coaches again. I can't wait to tell them this huge news that I have. And my mentor Eva and her whole family, her sons are going. So I'm just like, I'm going to be in a room full of all of my favorite people, and people I've also never met, but I've known them for 2 years. And there's people from like the UK coming too. So this is like once a year opportunity. It's like a family reunion. And all we talk about is greatness, which is like my favorite thing to talk about. So man, I keep saying this, I know, but life is like so much about memories for me right now, and I'm just excited to be influenced by Eric Thomas and then also see everybody. Yeah. And then after that, going to New York, turning 30. Gross.
What?
Turning 30.
You should definitely. My face was just what the fuck for a second.
What?
Yeah.
However, I'm excited to see my high school softball coach, who was like a mother to me, and it's looking like I'm gonna go to her soccer practice, her soccer team's practice. Maybe I'll give these kids some
motivating
free speeches. You know what I'm saying? So excited for that. Excited to see my friends from both high school and college all in the same room.
I feel like you're doing a lot of traveling in the next like couple.
This year truly has been like already. What did I say? What?
Okay, earlier this year you told me you wanted to travel more.
Oh yes, this is true. I bought my own suitcase set because of it. Yeah, bitch.
Okay, you didn't see this thought crossing my mind because I wanted to talk about manifestation today.
Oh, okay.
We were talking about like what you were doing at Eric Thomas's conference last time. This is why you're traveling. It's because like you already said it earlier this year. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, it's on my board.
Yeah.
Okay, when Megan was like staying at my place when I was in Korea, she decided to stay at my place while I was in Korea. And I forgot to turn my vision board around. So she saw fucking everything. And I feel like she's like judging me. And she thought it was kind of like interesting or whatever. She told me we had this conversation. But I'm just like,
oh, I never heard about this.
It's kind of crazy, huh? She's like, it's definitely interesting. And I'm like, okay, well.
What does that mean? That means like you have big dreams?
It's just a lot of shit that's like, I had all these ideas, all these projects, all these deadlines, all these like ideal deadlines, all these things that I was working on, and it's on there. And it says Cancun, it says Chicago, it says New York, it says project that I'm working on by this time, or like another project that I'm working on by this time, or like so many things were delayed because of dad in Korea and stuff, but like it's there, it's all there, and I still have Q4 to finish everything.
Yeah.
But when you look at the board, it's gonna be like, Jiggy, wow, you dream motherfucking big. It doesn't mean that every single thing on there gets checked off and it becomes true. It just also means that I'm working towards those things.
Yeah, I love that.
It's very vulnerable. I feel like I'm like exposing myself. Like these are my heart's truest desires, and there's a lot that I don't tell people. And then somebody just kind of like comes out of nowhere and just like looks at it. It's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Jiggy's evil plans.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is vulnerable. I sense I sense that it's more vulnerable for you, and like it's supposed to be private. It's your own room, so I think it makes a lot of sense that it feels that way.
Yep, manifestation. Want to talk about it? Go ahead.
Yes.
Lead us there.
Well, I love how like all these things are connecting. Okay, so you're talking about your board, right? And all the things that you like want to manifest, right? I feel like there's a lot of different like ideas out there around like manifestation. How do you define it? How do you put it into practice? Like when you're like either like a daily practice, or like how do you go about your process of doing that? Because I love that you said it's very physical, like visual for you. I think that's really significant. Yeah.
I think that, great question. Wow, thank you so much for asking.
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to manifestation, a lot of people think that like it's lazy people just wishing for something and then sitting down and doing nothing about it. And I think for me, it's two parts. So, you know what's dope about this podcast?
You see this? There's always a segment of this.
Is that I think it's dope is that like you get the perspective of somebody who is like whatever belief system that you have, and then whatever belief system that I have, which is like
into the stars.
Yeah, you're into the stars, which I'm not against it. I believe in energy and spirit, but also like my main faith is like Jesus and God, and the Bible and stuff. So I believe its manifestation is like two parts. I think that one part does have a lot to do with stillness and prayer and faith and trust in that whatever vision that is planted in your head is actually the plan that God put into your mind, because it's not an accident. It's actually a vision of your future. It's a glimpse of your future. And I think that might be something that anybody can agree with. If I were to just change God, the universe, it's like whatever idea that you might have in your mind, I believe it's something that the universe like wishes for you and desires for you and just kind of put it there. So I believe that like ideas in your mind aren't accidental. It's not coincidence. It's no matter how crazy it might seem, no matter how big it might seem, no matter how impossible it might seem. I'll be preaching right now. No matter how impossible it may seem, I just think that if we say, in my world, we say like you say yes to God and he takes care of the rest. So we say yes and he takes care of the rest. And so when you have that vision in your mind, it is also like faith and prayer, trusting that it will happen, whether it's now, whether it's later, whether it's one day. We always say that God's timing is perfect timing. It might not always be in the timing that we wish for it to, but whatever God's timing is for it to manifest and happen, it'll happen, and that's the best timing. So I do believe in like stillness, intention, trusting God, prayer. And there are certain things in life where you just gotta let go, let God. Like there are just certain things in life where we don't have control over it, and you just gotta just like let God handle it. don't get in God's way. Just release it, let it go. If it means that you gotta do something else, if it means that it's time for you to rest, whatever it is, I think that rest is actually a huge part of faith. You can't rest fully without faith. You can't rest fully without trusting fully in the universe and God for them to take care of you. Because otherwise we would be like, oh my God, I gotta take care of everything and I gotta do everything, So I do believe in stillness of manifestation. However, in the Bible, it also says, faith without works is dead. So you do have to have the faith that God has the best interest for you and that his visions are actually maybe even greater than what you might imagine for yourself. But also, that doesn't matter if you don't work with it, work towards it, work with God to manifest it and make it happen. And so you do have to implement strategy. You do have to get up and work. You do have to work for it. You do have to be consistent. You do have to have faith. You can't give up. You have to have perseverance and keep going. So it's both. You know, I'm the queen of both and all. But faith without works is dead. In church, a lot of people always talk about like the importance of faith and work. Like the Bible says, like, don't be lazy and da-da-da-da-da. And for me, oftentimes I find myself in work is not an issue for me. Sometimes it's faith that's the issue for me. And so I can work and work and work and bust my ass. Like work ethic is one of my best qualities. But sometimes I might lack faith and therefore I end up in burnout. And maybe burnout is a representation of lack of trust and faith too. And relying solely on self. But I think that's what's so beautiful about belief systems or faith in general, whether it's God for you, whether it's universe for you. It's that you believe in something that you believe is taking care of you and wants the best for you. So manifestation is both for me. It's both stillness, rest, intention, and wishing for it. But not wishing for it just for the fuck of it. We wish for it because it's actually what's meant for us. And then also being very clear about the end goal and working towards it. That was fucking fire. I just want to say.
Give a moment.
I'm preaching.
Yeah,
Shit.
She's been saying. You were saying you're on your God shit, and I was like, I'm waiting for it to show up in the podcast.
You know, here's the thing.
I love that it's like showing up in the podcast because I feel like it's like very true to you. Right? And like for me, like I think about the podcast as a place that like is supposed to represent who you really are. And like, you know, at least I feel like we try to make that space like to be as close as who you are. And so like I just appreciate that you're like sharing that side of yourself because I feel like it's very significant.
And guys, like this has always been who I am. Like I've always been.
You've always been like this. Like
Christian and like outward about Bible and stuff. But I actually realized recently that somewhere along the way, I just kind of like started to not do prayer requests on social media. I started to not share the Bible on social media. I started to not talk about Jesus and God at all. And I used to talk about God like all the freaking time. So this isn't new. It's just that like I'm going through shit right now. And I think that as a Christian, like you're taught to talk more about the goodness of God, and this is truly who I am. So, yeah. Now I got all these star friends telling me like they're telling me who I am based on the stars. I'm like, I'm a good person. That's all I gotta know about myself. But okay.
But Libras love.
Yo, the girl from the Kehlani line. We were going around telling each other, like, what our signs are. She's like, what are you? I was like, I'm a Libra. She's like, I was like, I have never had somebody react like that to me saying I'm a Libra.
I'm surprised.
Oh, and did you know, on top of the sun's rising, moon setting, what? Moon setting, moon rising? Something's always setting and rising and the sun and the moon. And then she's like, houses?
Yes.
Okay, I was like, houses? Like Harry Potter houses? Like, I didn't know there were houses involved. I was like, I might be a Slytherin. What houses are you talking about? So apparently there are houses.
Yes.
Are these houses where the suns and the stars live? Like,
I don't know how to explain it, and it's okay. We don't have to understand.
Okay, what does manifestation mean for you? Y'all confusing me.
I really loved what you shared earlier about how there's a balance. I actually had a follow-up question. Maybe we'll come back to this one. But how there's a balance between like the faith and also like the work like ethic that you put in. I want to circle back to like, how do you know like the balance between the two? And how do you know like when you should lean on either, or whether it's like both? Because I think that's interesting.
Good question.
Yeah. Because I'm grappling with that. So like that's actually why I'm like trying to surface this, because I want to hear like your opinion and your experience. But I think like manifestation for me, when I think of manifestation, like I think I have it's like similar. But I do think that there is a lot of faith in like things happening for you and things happening for a reason. I do believe in that. I think that when I first heard of manifestation, like my idea of it, or like what I was like being told by like social media, was just like, oh, you have to like say exactly what you're looking for, visualize the life that you need, and like how much money exactly are you trying to make? How like what is in your house? Like what exact car? And I was like, what the like?
I do believe in that too.
I do
Yeah.
too. I do think that there, like, the more specific that you can be, I think, like, the more that you're very clear on where to move, right? So I think, like, naturally, of course, it translates into a specific action. But I think the challenge when it came to that, because, like, I was like, I want X number of students in, like, RBTL, did not get delivered. But I think that there is a reason why it wasn't delivered, right? And so I think there's always this like grappling with like being specific about what you're like looking for, and at the same time like trusting that like if that's not delivered, there is something better being delivered, right? However, I did learn like over time, my relationship with like manifestation like shifted a little bit, because originally I thought it's like specific thing that you're looking for, and it felt more like materialistic, more like, which is like a lot of the stuff that I was like receiving from other people, but then over time, because like one of my coaches that I hired like last year, like she was sharing with me that like it's not about the specific thing, but it's also about the energy of like what you're trying to bring into your life. So like if you want X number of students, like what does that create for you, right? And what does that create like for them being part of like your like life, right? And so I think that there's this sense of like not thinking about just the specific thing, but also about what it creates, and what like feeling and emotion that you're trying to like move towards, right? So like when I think about like why do I want like a specific number of students, like, well, I want to create this sense of like peace and calm and love and connection like for all of these students, and impact, right, for all these students. So it's like, what does it look like to like lean into and feel and think and visualize like that feeling, not just like I want X number of students, but also like what does that create for me, which is like it creates opportunities for my team, like financially, right? It creates opportunities for me to be able to rest more, like all those different things that come alongside the number of students that like come into like a program. So I think there's this like I think the two pieces I was thinking about is like, okay, the specific thing, but also the energy, and also the belief that like sometimes you're just not ready to receive, like you're not in a place to like get that exact thing you're looking for because something's not in place yet. And I think this is very real, because obviously we are like at the end of like launch, and I'm just thinking like, wow, like I don't know if we're gonna reach like goals that we like want, and like, you know, things like that, which is of course the very logical like business like way to think about it, but also thinking about how this is the most calm I've ever been like in a launch, like the most peaceful I've ever been,
that like I'm like not sick, and I'm not.
You even
like,
went to Vegas and Chicago.
Yeah, I went to Vegas. Like I traveled. Like I am like doing this podcast with you. Like, and I'm just sitting here like.
Wait a minute.
Like
you're not dying.
Yeah, I'm not. Like,
whoa,
I'm alive.
I'm just realizing this.
I'm seeing you during this time. Like, whoa. I'm not seeing everyone, but I'm seeing you, and like, I think that's significant. So, dude, yeah,
progress.
I know.
Wow,
I know. So,
I'm
like,
just realizing this.
Yeah, and so I wanted to bring that in because I feel like it can be a very like woo-woo like topic when we talk about manifestations. I want to like ground it in a very specific example, but also thinking like, you know, wow, like, there's so many things I wish I could have done like in this specific launch of like relating between the lines, and there's this balance of like, you know, I can sit with that disappointment, right, and also be with the fact that like my life as a whole is just like so much mentally better and more clear, and so yeah, I wanted to ground that in example, and also like love what you were sharing earlier. That's why I freaked out when you said like when you don't have enough like faith, like you can like burnout is essentially a reflection of like not necessarily your work ethic, but like you not trusting. And like for me to be in a place where I'm like okay, like I'm just like, oh, that meant that I was trusting like that I will be okay, and there's like a release and like a peacefulness that comes with that. So yeah, that's where I came from. So that's why like I'm so excited about this. I thought it was like so cool that you were like talking about that. I was like, oh, I see the parallels in like how I operate. But yeah.
I think that religion is just putting labels on shit just to have labels on shit. Like I've always thought that maybe the way that we worship or maybe the way that we practice whatever our beliefs are might be different, but at the end of the day, like I personally believe that God is the universe and universe is God. So like when we maybe the Bible is a little too strict for some people, but the way that we practice things are actually quite similar. When it comes, you were talking about like things not working out the way that you wished for during this launch. Christians usually always say like delayed but not denied, delayed but never denied, and it's just kind of like don't give up on the vision. It's just that it'll happen probably later, but not right now. And like not all visions that we have in our minds are going to happen immediately, but it just means that it's going to be a part of our future. And then also like when you said like what is the intention, basically what is the intention of what we want to manifest. Like it's not just about the number, it's not just about what we want, but like why do we want it and how does that basically serve the world. And I personally believe, like Christianity didn't tell me this, but like what I personally believe is when people ask like what is the meaning of life, I personally believe that maybe one of the meanings of life is that we are all created to do our best in making Earth home, like feel like home for all of us, which means that it has to be filled with love. It means that it has to be filled with community. It means that it has to be filled with compassion and empathy and care and nurturing, like all of these things. And to me, like God is pleased when you take care of his people. And so when we do stuff like RBTL, where we're helping people deepen their relationships and even the most important relationships in their lives, or me speaking, like I'm hopefully preventing people from or like mental health complications or whatever it is that like, not saying that I'm over here superhero, I want to save lives, but it's like I do want to save lives. I literally genuinely believe that a part of my purpose is to save lives, to change lives and save lives. Like God is a God-given talent. It's a God-given mission. Like I say yes to my assignment, it must please God. And like I personally see that in all the ways of life. Like when people have a passion or a career, I just always think in terms of like, how does this serve society? And I used to ask my mom, I was like, Mom, why do people exchange money instead of just doing services for one another? Because we're all creating a better place to live for people at the end of the day. Like, why do we have to exchange money? But then my mom used to say, like, you must not know how the world works. Capitalism. But yeah, I just think that when it comes to intention, yeah, like closing the eyes, visualizing the future, the brain doesn't know what's real versus what's not real. So the brain doesn't know what is real of experiencing versus what's not even happening right now. So when we close our eyes and visualize it, the brain doesn't know that it's not happening. So that's why when we feel the emotions of the visualization, we still get goosebumps thinking about it. So I think that that's powerful, because I also believe in like the whole like energy and abundance mindset and the energy, and like things are for me, not against me, and like what was that word?
Pronoia.
Pronoia. Dude, we did it. Dude. We did it. The name of this that episode is Pronoia. We did it. See, we manifested it.
I knew it was gonna come in at one of the episodes.
Pronoia.
Okay, you gotta give people context on like what this is. Like, I feel like it's a very interesting term.
Is a word that I learned from one of Jamie's had an event recently, a gathering recently, and one of the people there said that they believe in pronoia, which is instead of paranoia, they believe in pronoia, where all things in life and the world is for self. So everything is always happening for self. And so it's not paranoia where you go all crazy and it's like having complete trust and faith and knowing that like everything is for self. So that's what pronoia is, which I thought was a really cool term. So I told Steph about it, and then she got really excited, and we were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that in the podcast one day." And like here we are. Manifestation.
Jinx. Can you give me a Coke? You know how they say like you owe me a soda when you jinx somebody?
Dude, when people say that stuff, I think that you're a loser. That's not gonna happen. I think you've done it to me before, where you're like, Jinx, you owe me $1 million. I'm like, bitch, what? Make
no, I
million.
never said I never said that.
Somebody said it to me.
But I definitely would have asked for a Coke.
Aw, Steph and her little Coke. She loves Coke.
I love
Fun
Coke,
fact,
dude.
Steph loves Coke. She loves it so much that if it's in front of her, she knows she's going to drink it, so she doesn't keep it in the house. But when we're out or getting food or something, and if it's there, she always gets like, if she goes to a function and is there, she gets a little cup.
Oh yeah, I did that recently.
And it makes her so happy. The other episode when I said I got her In-N-Out, I got her Coke because I knew that it would make her happy.
I love that. Yeah, but like, I love how you know the stuff that I like.
Would we be best friends if we didn't know?
She likes bubbly water. She doesn't drink.
That's like sparkling water.
Yes.
I don't drink sodas. Yeah. I drink a lot of water, but I like sparkling water from Walmart.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, I was like, not your LaCroix shit, like
the fancy stuff,
just the one from Walmart. It's solid. Yeah, okay, but like, can you imagine like being at like AMC and you're sitting on the seat, and then like the lights dim, and then like the Coke shows up in the screen, and then like the bubbles come up? Does that not make you thirsty?
My favorite Coke commercial was always the ones with the polar bears.
Oh yeah, that's like classic. Yeah.
I used to have a beach towel with the polar bears because I was obsessed with the polar bears.
It is so crazy that was like so big back in the day.
It was the shit. That just kind of like reminded me of when we went to Disneyland, the last ride that we rode, where you smell it. It's like you go to Paris, you go around the world or some shit. You go to China, Wall of
flying soaring over California. Or,
is that what?
Well, it can't be California because we're like.
Is it called soaring?
Oh, I guess maybe it's like soaring over like. Is it the world? Yeah.
You know what? If you know what we're talking about, just put
whatever
you know we're talking about that.
Put it in the video ask.
It's this ride where you get on, and it's not like a crazy roller coaster ride, but there's a huge gigantic screen in front of you, and there's wind, and like it makes you feel like you're flying over Paris, and there's that
Eiffel Tower,
and then you go to China, and there's the Wall of China.
Do you really
and
see that?
Then we go to like some place in Europe, and you go over the grass, and it smells like grass. Like we go over Disneyland, and there's Disneyland. Like it's all these things, and that was the first time ever that I wanted to travel the world. I used to never want to travel. I hate traveling.
Yeah.
But that was the first time ever I was like, when it was over, I was like, guys, I'm gonna be a billionaire. Like, that's what I came up with because I wanted to travel the world because of that. Because it makes the experience feel real. And it gets you excited. It makes you want to do it. And now you know exactly what to visualize when you work towards it. That's why.
You really brought that back to manifestation.
That's why. Eva. New character! Eva! She's my mentor. And she's always talking about how important exposure is. I'm taking this a different route. But she's always talking about how important exposure is. And that's why it's so important to have a mentor. It's so important to hang around with people who are already at where you want to be at, so that you get to be exposed to experiences. And maybe you yourself get to experience those experiences, so that you know what it's like to make that exchange, pay for that flight, or go to that place, or go to Cancun and experience paradise. Like, now you know exactly what you desire because you've experienced it. That's like really traveling this year, like especially spending more time with Eva this year, like that has been the biggest huge like game changer for me. Not like, now I used to never want to travel, but I used to never care about like all-inclusive resorts, no nothing. But now that I know what all-inclusive resorts are like, unlimited tequila, unlimited food, beautiful sun right there. It's like, that's vacation. That's what vacation's supposed to feel like. That's what I want. On top of other things.
I think you make such a great point with like the exposure piece. Because I think some people just like, it's like, how are you supposed to know what to manifest? How do you even know?
I think this is the first time I heard this snap.
Unlock new move. I really didn't want to give up and like say the butterfly fucking like you know went through my head. I actually wanted to like get it. I got it this time. So
I'm proud of you.
So okay. I
Stick with it. Stick with it. Go.
Okay, it's on mentorship. So like I really want you to tell people like, how did you find your mentor? Because like I do think that is significant. Like I'm currently in the search for one. So like me manifesting like right now. But I really am looking for someone, and like I think what I'm having challenges with is just like, what is that person supposed to like feel like? Like, can I ask for anyone? Like, is it like, what's the most important thing when you think about a mentor, like that you would like recommend people like look out for? Because I feel like you have a really great relationship with your mentor. I feel like she's given you a lot, and it's like, first, how did you find her, and like what would you recommend folks like look for, like when you're looking for a mentor? What's the like number one thing that you just cannot negotiate on?
How I found Eva was so I'm part of Eric Thomas's community called Breathe University. It's like this like community of us, like kind of like a mastermind, but not really. And every morning we have accountability calls. We all have goals of our own. Some people are entrepreneurs, some people are not. But the common theme is that we all are holding each other accountable. These are the people that I mentioned that I've known for like 2-3 years and never.
Oh, that you're gonna. Some
people I've never actually met. The thing is that I've been praying for somebody like Eva. That year, it was 2020. In 2020, I was kind of like, when the pandemic was already happening, I was like, I feel kind of lonely. And at the same time, I was like, I think I need community. And the thing is that I already knew Steph, I already knew Kato and Norman by then, but I felt as though I need a community that can take me to the next level as a speaker, as a whatever it is. And so I was like praying for a community. God said, join BU. I knew BU existed because I was actually a member of it back in 2017.
Oh.
When I was like 23, 24 years old. And so I looked into it. BU was still existent. So I said, dope, let me get started. So that's how I joined it. So they have this Facebook group, and then they used to do these Friday lives. And one day, Eva was being interviewed. And so each BU member has their own specialty. So Eva started off her business with like credit coaching. And so she was talking everything about like credit scores and how to fix it and all these tricks and like about credit cards and rewards and points and free money and like free flights, free hotel, free vacation, gift cards for Christmas presents, like all. She knew so freaking much. And then in the end of the session, they were doing Q&A, and I had this like very general basic question. So I asked the question. She said it's not a silly question, it's a pretty good question. And so she answered it. And the more she talked and the more she answered questions, I was like, man, I love this woman's energy. She's like Latina, she's got this fire, she's funny. I was like, wow, like what would it be like to work with her? But I was like, but like what would it cost to work with somebody like that? Like, so I thought I wasn't worthy of Eva. I literally used to have conversation with somebody from BU about this. We've had like 3 conversations about Eva, and every time we talked about her, I said like, yo, like I don't think I'm worthy of Eva's coaching. Like I don't think that she'll take me in. I don't think that I'm like an ideal client for her. Like I don't know if I can afford her. Like all of these things. And one day she was like, Jiggy, stop tripping and go talk to Eva. She's like, she's the coolest people, one of the coolest people you'll ever met. Just go talk to her and just ask. So the day that I was about to message Eva to ask, she messaged me, said, hey, what's up? How have you been since you asked me that question during the live? I was like, yo, this is crazy. I was gonna message you today. So we exchanged numbers. We got the Kehlani and the Zoom call, like that I hop on. But at the time, I would call her my credit coach. How it evolved as mentorship, I think, is just by watching her live her life. Like, I think that the definition of mentor is somebody who guides you, who protects you, who teaches you, whether it's by lessons or by experience. And not hand-holding as in like dragging you along, but just like giving you guidance. And also living as the example of the life that they preach and the life that you want to live. That's who she was to me. And we just like hit it off. We love the same like throwback R&B. She's fun. She dances all the time. I dance all the time. I don't know. We just work really well together. She's just dope to be around. And so like somehow along the way, she became more like a mentor to me than just like coach. Like I don't think coach really does it justice. But I think we really became even more close after her husband passed away. A few months after that, when like my dad passed away, like all of these stuff. So that's how we met. That's how we started to work together. And that's where we are kind of now. We are kind of like inseparable now. I'm really happy. She's such a blessing in my life. Like I'm so freaking lucky to have her. I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for her. And not just about credit score, just like the way I see money, the way I see abundance mindset, the ways that I see what's possible, how much random shit I know about credit cards now. Like it's very random, and financial literacy is something that I used to think was so impossible for me. And I told her the day that we met, like I grew up hating money, and I saw my parents argue so much because of it. And I used to think that my family was cursed and that work ethic, working hard is never the problem, but earning money was the problem. But like Eva and like being around her and learning from her and like abundance mindset and all of these things, like it really wouldn't be possible without her. And so, but what is a non-negotiable for me when it comes to mentors? It's because I've had a mentor before, I'm able to say this now because I learned from back then. What's really important to me is like shared core values in faith, in politics, and in intention. In faith, Eva's also Christian. We have this understanding that we do trust. We pray together all the time. We voice message each other our prayers. I did it this morning all the time. We share devotionals all the time. She has prayer calls for her community every Saturday morning. Like it's in the forefront of both our lives and our businesses. That is so important to me. And then politics, I cannot have a mentor who is a conservative. She is not. So, I think she's not. Eva, I've never really asked you this, but I don't think you are. But she was happy about the recent election, so I'm guessing that we agree there. And then just the intention of our businesses, our lives, just the kind of life that we want to have. Just to impact, help people, serve God. I think faith above all else is really important, but to me also like politics actually is really important too. It is important to me that, you know, she's a Latina woman, like she's a person of color. Oh, she's also a powerlifter, so it's cool that like she has that side of her. Like fitness is really important to her too. So, and she likes to have fun. Fun, I guess, is a big part of it too.
I think fun is a massive part of, you know what it is. I think it's like, what I see is like a lot of, you see a lot of yourself in her too. Like, cause there's a lot of parallel like core values that I'm seeing. And I think fun being like quite up there.
We love our tequila.
Yeah.
Like going to Cancun. Yeah. I used to think like mentorship always had to be like professional relationship and stuff, and which we do. But the fact that we know how to have fun together, I think is it feels like home. My therapist calls Eva like basically like a mother figure, which I don't want to put pressure on Eva to like be that in my life, but even my therapist noticed like, you know, Eva is probably the ideal example of who your future partner should be.
Look at you surrounding yourself with all these people.
Because I'm intentional. Apparently I go through a extensive processing of allowing people to come into my life. Our friend Jamie told me that. She was like, the first time we met, I felt like you were just asking me so many questions. And I was like, I don't like to waste time.
It's called due diligence.
I don't like to waste time. We're going to talk about this anyway. Why don't we talk about it now?
Basically. Okay, great. I love that you shared this story, because I feel like a lot of people have this I don't know, I had it, like I was just like, do I just go to a store and pick out a mentor like off the options? Like I don't know, like where do you find it? But it sounds a little bit more serendipitous, and so like that gives me a lot of like faith, and like, you know, it will come, and like as long as you keep, like I keep just like believing in that this person like exists, like because my fear is always just like, well, if this person doesn't exist and like I just have to be that person, what if that's what the sign is, you know? Which I think there's an element of like, hey, like there's if something's not out there and you want that to exist, then like become that person. But at the same time, I'm just like, I don't want to do this by myself. I really want to find somebody that can support me in this. Yeah,
I think that what I want to highlight is that everything I just said, I didn't know when I met Eva. I didn't know that's what I wanted in a mentor. I didn't know that's what I needed in a mentor.
Yeah.
All I was looking for was somebody who can teach me financial literacy and understand that like I have this generational curse that I'm trying to break, and it's like really serious, fucking serious for me. Yeah. Faith and politics, I knew were my core values, and that because I know it's my core values because it's true for everything else in life. So I just want to encourage people to look for mentors, but I'm also saying that like it doesn't have to be perfect. Like kind of just like pray about it and wish for it, and be clear about exactly what kind of help you want, and then understand that there's a lot of people who can help you with that. Now there are options. Like as long as you hone in on that one thing and then look at those options, like see what's available. But again, reminding everyone that this isn't my first mentor. Like I've had 2 or 3 before them, and I've learned like what lands and what doesn't land.
Yeah, I hear it though, like just giving people a shot too is also part of the process. Is not perfect the first time. I think that's the trap I always fall into, is like gotta find like the perfect person, but there's like no perfect person that exists, and that like it's important to like try. And
also it doesn't mean that they represent all of me.
Right.
Like whether it's Eric Thomas, Breed University, or Eva, it's a part of me, but it doesn't represent like all of me. You know, like being Asian or like immigrant experience, like all of these things are also important to me too, and those are things maybe I have to look elsewhere, or I have to be the leader myself. I don't know if one day I'll find a mentor who is Asian or whatever, but like yeah, it doesn't mean that they represent like all of me either.
Yeah, I have like comments on that, but I think I'm gonna pin that for another episode. But I did want to circle back though to like the last question that I had was just like, how do you know how do you discern between like when to lean on like faith versus like your work ethic, right? Like I think you mentioned kind of like burnout being like a potential like signal, right, of something that's of you being in a place where you are leaning too much on like work ethic, right? And so yeah, I want to hear a little bit more about your process for that.
For me, first and foremost of Christianity is always like have faith. That's like first and foremost than anything. So even if it's work, like going into it already has to have faith. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it's like when do you lean on, when do you work, and when do you rest? Mm-hmm. I think one of the biggest signs could be, again, burnout, but also when you feel like you've literally done every fucking thing that you could do and hit all of the freaking options and it's still not working out, then that's maybe a point where it has to pivot, or it's not going to happen, or it's just delayed. But how I navigate it, I think, one, like, if I've done everything I could and it doesn't work, then I'm just like, okay, God, like, apparently you want something to do with this. But that's the thing, like, God wants something to do with everything that I do. Mm-hmm. That's what I believe. And if something doesn't go my way, it's like, okay, whatever, you know what, just you handle it. Or like I'm working and it doesn't work out, or it's not, I think there's a difference between like something not working out versus like lack of perseverance. Mm-hmm. Like you have to persevere, and then if it still doesn't work out, then, you know. But for me, how I pinpoint those things also, I don't know why this came up for me, but like, I don't know how you find inspiration for your belief system, but for me, I watch sermons all the time, and sermons make it so clear where it's like, they look you in the camera, like into the, is there a relationship that's not blah, blah, blah? Is your business not going the way that, there's that, what is there that one decision that's been sitting in your heart? And they like pinpoint these things out. And I'm like, I do have a decision that I have been having. That part of my business is really struggling. And like, they help me pinpoint those things out. And that's how I'm like, yeah, I do have to lean on God for that thing. You know what? Fuck this. I give up. I'm going to give it to God. Like, sermons help me pinpoint those things a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at the end of the day, like, first and foremost, I go into everything with faith. I do my absolute best. You know, sometimes Christians just, like, ask for strength, ask for perseverance, to, like, ask for ideas, ask for people to help us, like, whatever it might be, ask for resources to make those things happen. But, yeah, at the end of the day, for me, like, or I think I've heard you say, like, I heard spirits say, but, like, I say, like, oh, God told me to. And it's kind of usually when, like, oh, God wants me to let this go. And that happens a lot because I intentionally pray, which I think you do too. But, like, I literally pray, like, all day. I talk to myself and God all the time. And I'm constantly praying for something. Like, what are my weaknesses? What do I need help with? Like, what is something that you want me to let go of? What is something that you want me to lean into more? Like, I'm constantly asking for guidance. So that's another thing. But, like, at the end of the day, like, I have a source that inspires me to check in with myself. And it's always specific. It's always going to be sermons saying, like, is there a relationship? Okay, so I start thinking about relationships. Is there a decision you need to make? Is there a business decision you need to make? It's like, what is the business decision that I need to make? Like, it's very specific to check in with myself. We also have, like, what's called, like, devotionals, and, like, I have the Bible app where there are plans. So, for example, if I'm working on faith, there's, like, 3-day, 5-day, 7-day, 30-day, 365-day plan that shares, like, the scripture of the day, and then, like, their commentary on it, and like encouragement about it. I do that too. So if I know that I'm lacking in something, I read about that.
Yeah. I think I'm just struck by like how like devoted you are. I think that's like what's really like coming across to me, because I think for me it's like even my relationship with my own like I guess you could say like spirituality, sense of connection with source is like I think more new, and so I think that's why these questions are like naturally like coming up for me. And I think I'm in a place where I'm exploring what does it look like, what does devotion and commitment look like to like practices like every single day. And so I think I feel like just inspired to explore like what does it look like to like ask and lean on like support. Like I think that's actually like what was really striking about you talk to yourself a lot and you talk to God a lot, because for me I'm just thinking like I don't think I connect enough. Like I don't think I ask enough. Like I don't think I'm like open to like receiving enough. And I think that's actually the challenge that I'm working through, is like I can't get through this by myself, which is the story that I always have, is like independence, like work ethic, like being on your own, like and this idea of, I mean, I've just been taught from like a young age that like you can only depend on yourself, which is just a story that like I know comes from like my own ancestry, and like fear of like not being able to trust other people. And so I think I'm just working through like, okay, it's not just like trust in other people now, because I think I've like gotten to a place of like better relationship with that, but it's just like, how can you trust that, you know, coming back to what we talked earlier, that like things are happening for you, and like you can also trust that like things can be taken care of, and like things can be easier, and it doesn't have to be so difficult. And sometimes like difficulty might not necessarily be the sign of like you should move towards there, because people always talk about like, oh, you should be uncomfortable, which I do think is true, but I also think that I've tore myself down like trying to pursue like I gotta like break myself down to like build myself back up, kind of like like that kind of thing. And I'm just like, I think I have to release some of that. Like I don't think it's necessarily like wrong. I think it's served me in a lot of ways, like because if you're gonna go to the gym, you're gonna have to like break yourself down to build yourself up, right? I think there's definitely like elements of that, but I think I'm in a place of like trying to discern when does it make sense to like put that hat on versus like not. And so I think I'm just sitting with a lot of like food for thought, thinking about like faith, and also thinking about like the balance between that and like work ethic, because I've like I think over-indexed on work ethic and like need to, you know, balance it out like to the other end. So yeah, that's what I'm like walking away with.
3 parts to hearing God or hearing universe or spirit or whatever it is that you believe in. I heard a sermon the other day that was like really powerful. It's either you hear God. First of all, you can't hear anything. You can't hear universe, God, nothing, if you are constantly in noise. So noise, distraction can be like, especially social media. There's just so much noise. Like, how often do you take time in silence to just connect with universe or God? And so that's one way that you can hear God. And also, like, you should be in such silence that you can hear God when he whispers in silence. Like, he whispers. Like, can you hear your source so clearly even when they whisper? Is your life so still and silent to a point where even the universe whispers, you can hear them? And then third, which was the sermon, is that just because God's not speaking doesn't mean that he's not speaking. Sometimes Christians are always like, I want to hear what God has to say about this. Like, I even said it just now. It's like, I can't wait to go see Eric Thomas's conference to hear God. Like, I can't wait to hear what God has for me. But it's just like, sometimes God doesn't speak, and we always think that that means that, like, God's not there, and like, da-da-da-da-da. But it's just like, no. We see God as a father, and the sermon said, like, yo, when a parent trusts you, they don't micromanage you. When a parent trusts you, they don't say anything because they trust that you're going to make the right decision. So just because God is silent doesn't mean that he's silent. God is silent because he believes in you. He trusts you. And if you fuck up again, he'll be there to guide you. But he believes that you are mature in this and then trusts you to make your own decisions and you'll be fine. You'll be okay. Another part is that I wasn't always like this, and I know I say that about myself a lot, but I wasn't always like this. I used to think that God hated me. I used to think that God created me to laugh at me, and I used to believe this because my life has been so shit, and Catholicism used to tell me yo, this is all happening for a reason and God loves you. And I used to say how could God possibly love me when my life is absolute fucking shit? He gave me diabetes, I lost my home to fire, I became homeless, I had to do all this shit that y'all know the story, my mom died. How could this be an example of God loving me? So I used to think that God hated me and created me to laugh at me. But the thing is that as I had to basically just navigate life on my own after my mom died, I'm just kind of shit, I have no fucking body. I am only humanly capable of so much. And I had almost no choice but to start believing in something. I had no choice but to start having hope that this is all happening for a reason and one day this is going to all make sense. Which it makes sense to me now that I'm a speaker. But I've been in so many life situations where I literally had nothing but God. But faith. But hope. So nowadays it's it's still hard. I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm not saying that I'm a professional. I'm not saying that I never fall short. I still get mad at God. I still express my frustrations and sadness to God. God listens to all. It's not just about praising and thanking. God wants to hear my frustrations too. I am allowed to be mad at God sometimes. Just not all the time. Out of my own selfishness. But the universe wants to hear all. You can truly show up as yourself. You can show up vulnerable. You can show up sad. You can show up defeated. You can show up hopeless. You can show up grateful. Whatever it is state that you're in, universe and God just wants to help. It's up to us to say yes. Open the door. Open your hands. Invite them in. Let them in. They're just waiting there to help. This podcast is so dope. More often than not, it's the person not allowing universe's help to come in because we want to be self-reliant so much. And it's vulnerable and scary to think, what the fuck out there could possibly do to help me? I made a video today, it's funny. God's capabilities is literally endless. God's visions, God's imagination is always going to be so far above and beyond our own. Whatever we believe is the best for us isn't even half. What God wants for us is so much more than that. I know we talked about it before, the girl with the little teddy bear versus Jesus with the big teddy bear. Whatever God wants for us is so much bigger. And the example that I used today,
I saw this.
I can think that seeing Kehlani will be the greatest thing in the world. But God says, why only see Kehlani when you can also see JoJo? Wow. Wow.
I'm actually very wowed by the fact that you circled it back to the beginning of what we talked about the podcast.
I mean, it's just thread. It's just
beautiful.
Why move to LA when you can live in the same building?
Wow, you really got good examples.
Yo, I've lived. Bitch, I've lived.
Well, I feel complete.
If I go like this, it looks like the pearl has ears.
Oh, it's kind of cute.
Okay, we need to talk about this. I seen a video recently where, did you know? Today's did you know? Did you know?
Yeah.
That rabbits can swim.
Oh.
And when they walk into the water, their ears Go swim mode.
It was so cute.
Wow. Life-changing information.
I learned a lot from being on your close friends list about animals.
Shout outs to Rosalie for starting to individually send me animal videos.
Yeah.
I feel special when people like individually send me animal videos. It's like, wow, you saw this thing and you thought of me.
I just see memes and I think of you now. That one I sent you the other day was good.
Which one?
Are you ranch? Cause I be that one.
Yeah. I'll find it and put it up. Yeah, that was pretty fucking funny.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Steph's sense of humor, like what makes her laugh on the internet, it's like so like. It's
what
very like
too? Like
no like
here's overlap.
It's definitely really funny. It's definitely really funny. I don't ever look at something and I'm just like ha 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 when Steph sends me something. It's usually like, oh my god. That's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, no, that's how I feel when I look at it. I'm just like, wow, that's pretty good.
I feel like your sense of humor is like Noah's sense of humor. Like somehow it's all starting to make sense.
It's very specific. I should post.
I feel like Noah thinks he's funny, and then he does shit because he thinks it's funny. And then like he probably like giggles to himself. And he's like, yeah, that's pretty funny, huh? Like when he pooped on the tree.
I will never forget.
I'm gonna go poop on this tree right here.
He really thought
I'm gonna think it's funny.
He really thought he was up to something. Like,
let's see if they laugh.
He probably cried because you laughed.
Like, and Jiggy. That was pretty funny, huh? I know.
I get him back Saturday night, so next episode he will
I won't be here.
He will make an appearance. Well, he'll make an appearance for the next episode, so one of us will hold that and one of us will hold the pearl and one of us will
Please
hold the
come pick me up with him in the car.
Oh yeah, I need to text you back when I'm available. But I should be able to pick you up next Tuesday. I don't know if I can this Thursday because RPTO interviews. But
I'm turning all of my friends into cab drivers. Not Carrie, like, when are you going? Do you need a ride?
This is what influence is. Like, when you just repeatedly, like, share things and do things, like...
I'm gonna need mad rides for the next 3 weekends.
You really are. I think you gotta, like, get a whole pool of folks. Because I was just like, damn, I don't think I can get you every time.
Yeah, and you know what? Now we have another new character that I'm about to ask. She lives 7 minutes away. Who is Tiffany? Find out next episode. I always take forever to wrap up the podcast. But this, honestly, has been a great episode. I am so happy. I always get really hyped and happy about talking about God. So I appreciate your question.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time that the world has seen Jiggy truly happy.
Wow.
Which I've told her for like a year or two now that my goal is to be happy and at peace. And like,
wow,
I think I just like really released it. 2 Kehlani shows, man, can really do it. Next time I'm depressed, just take me to a Kehlani show.
Can we just like take a moment and like just...
Can we also take a moment to realize
sink
that when my dad died and I was in Korea, the only place that I went to outside of that stuff is this one R&B bar in Korea, and they realized that I love Kehlani, and they used to play all Kehlani sets for me. And I used to go there every week. And that was my only place of solitude in Korea when my dad died. Truly, my peace and happiness is Kehlani. It must be a lot of pressure to have that kind of, like, almost like, I hate to say it, but it's a lot of responsibility to have, like, if I were Kehlani and, like, people, like, I don't want to say dependent on me, but, like, they really sees me as a source of happiness and hope.
I mean, I hope you can see that people do also experience you in that way.
This
I
is
think we all
also
have,
true. I'm a fucking motivational speaker. What am I talking about?
I was like, wait,
This is why I pray so much.
I was like, are you talking about Kehlani or are you talking about yourself, bro? Like,
I'm talking about my future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wanting to take a moment to, like, be with what you shared. Like, I think I'm just thinking about the last 2 episodes, and, like, we were, like, barely getting through, like, I think 2 or 3 episodes ago, like, we're barely, like, getting through it, and I think to wrap this up, I think it's just, I really want to acknowledge, like, that is, like, so significant to see you in a place where you feel lighter, that you feel, like, excitement for your birthday, like, that you feel, like, a sense of peace, that you feel like you've released, that you feel like you can show also, like, you know, this side of you here, and yeah, when you say, like, a lot can happen,
I'm gonna cry again.
Like, a lot happens in, like, 2 or 3 weeks, you know? So just wanting to, like, make space for that, because I feel like it's significant. Oh my god, I cried 2 episodes ago. You're crying on this one. We just out here just left
been,
and right, like
crying every day.
Oh, I'm just so happy for you. Can't even, like.
I'm gonna share one more story.
Go for it.
This morning, I was praying, like, on my knees. I was praying, and as I was praying, suddenly I started talking to my inner child. And when I say inner child, like, it can either be me as a baby in Korea or my teenage self just, like, going through all that shit. And today I was talking to myself from when I was, like, living in that basement with no windows. And, like, that part of my life I constantly think about because it was so fucking hard and so lonely. And, like, I think about that basement all the time, like, eating that bland ass food out of the microwave all the time, like, this grocery shopping at the dollar store, like rolling a luggage bag in, like, such a hot fucking Queens, New York day to all the way to the fucking laundromat, and the humid ass laundromat, being the only kid in there, surrounded by moms doing fucking laundry. And I used to just, like, read my little book to try to be an intelligent kid. And, like, I keep thinking about that Jiggy because that Jiggy just wanted to fucking die in that basement. And today I just ended up talking to that Jiggy, and I was like, yo, thank you so much for making it through. Because I really just wanted to fucking die in there. And, like, after everything that I've been through in life, I'm so thankful for that Jiggy's perseverance. And, like, I hated God. That was the chapter in my life when I hated God. And I had nothing but hope in me, believing that it was happening for a reason. And I'm so thankful that that Jiggy kept pushing through and making it through, like, even if it made no sense, even if there was no promise that I was gonna make it to the life that I live now. Like, I didn't know anything and everything was just so dark in my life, but I'm so thankful that that Jiggy made it through. Like, life can be as great as seeing Kehlani shows twice in 4 days. Life can be this amazing. And I wouldn't have experienced this or Friends or LA or, you know, Tuesday service or all of my friends or Cancun or all of these things if it wasn't for that Jiggy making it through. So I'm just, like, really thankful for that kid. Man, what a fucking badass. What a fucking badass that bitch is. When the podcast is over, you don't have to hug me. I'm just gonna leave.
I was going to, but if you don't want my hug, that's okay too.
Yeah. Wow, this podcast is so dope.
Wow.
Oh my god.
I just felt the gravity of that and how significant this week.
I've had a
been.
hard ass life. If I don't make it, if I don't become a billionaire, I'm gonna be pissed.
What do we say in manifestation right now? What is the energy?
I'm manifesting Kehlani or somebody alike. You know, I was thinking that Kehlani can't maybe be my wife because she's not Christian.
It's not even you think she can't. I think that wow, I think that door is officially sealed, like based off of this.
Oh my god, you didn't hear that? Don't manifest that. What are you doing?
I'm just aligning with your values.
Stop it. She still believes in God. She has her like little religion thing. I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
Okay, this episode has to end now.
We're done.
Bye.